Hello again, it's me Mandala, and today I'm back to share another open world buildcraft video. So it's been a while, but since the game slowed down a little bit in its development, there's been less opportunity to share any really strong open world builds, and also ArenaNet has done a few balance patches that have eliminated some of the builds I was working on, but today I'm back to share a build that I think is now the strongest open world build in the game. I think people have been sleeping on this build, and it's of course a Reaper build for open world. And there's a couple reasons why that is, but I just thought that now is the time to come back and share this build because I think it's really, really strong, and I have a version of it that I think is pretty unique and interesting and leverages a lot of cool things about the Guild Wars 2 combat and build craft. So, yep, I'm here to share that with you. So, the first thing I'm going to do is a Golem Pull on the Golem, and then we'll talk about what the build is and why it's so good. So, yeah, one sec. Okay, so not too bad. So 17.5 on the Golem. And so some of you who play a lot of open world Power Reaper might be thinking, okay, that's really not a really great number. You can hit much higher numbers, and that's probably true. But this is a very unique setup for Power Reaper, and I'm going to explain why. So the first thing that's kind of interesting that we're able to do on this build that's kind of a novel application of legendary gear in Guild Wars 2 is that this build is running full Demolisher gear. We have full Demolisher, so Demolisher is power, precision, toughness, ferocity. Alright? And so every single part of this build is Demolisher gear. We're running Superior Rune of the Pack, which is boon duration, precision, and power. This is just a very good open world boon to just help us flush out our boon uptime, our precision cap, and things like that. And then we're running Staff, Greatsword, with superior sigil of force and accuracy in Greatsword, and then superior sigils of celerity and accuracy in Staff. So you could probably get away without the superior sigil of celerity, but I think for open world play it's really useful to be able to start with ranged quickness and use all your staff skills with quickness, so that's why we have it. But you could get away with not running this and instead running another superior sigil of force in this slot if you really wanted to. But as you can see, we're crit capped, we have almost 1700 toughness, and we have pretty good everything else, pretty good power, precision, power, ferocity, and then obviously we're at crit cap with Fury at 75%. So the way we're getting Fury from this build is our Relic, which is the Relic of the Midnight King, which is helping us get Might and Fury every time we disable an enemy, which is awesome for this build. It fills in that gap because Fury is kind of hard to get on Necro, but this is an interesting way to get it for this build. So now, the next thing that's really interesting, alright, so you still might be wondering, okay, but why is the damage so low? Demolisher gear is actually pretty good. That's true, but we're also running the Death Magic trait line. So we're doing lots of different things to make this a really tanky variant of open world Power Reaper, and the way I've chosen to do that is with this Death Magic trait. So give me one second, and then we'll go through the trait lines and why I've picked the traits that I picked. Okay, so the first trait line that we have is the Spite line, and so Spite helps us get our Might uptime up with Reaper's Might and some vulnerability stacks with Bitter Chill. So we're running Bitter Chill for Vuln, we're running Spiteful Fortitude just because this whole middle column of Spite is kind of useless now for damage. They've moved a bunch of stuff around recently. But this just gives us some base vitality, and then we get life force when we strike a foe below the health threshold, so it's not bad, it's just there's really nothing good in this column anymore from a damage perspective, or from like a interest perspective. Like there's nothing interesting going on in the second column of Spite. And then lastly, we're running Close to Death, so deal increased strike damage to enemies below the health threshold. So once an enemy is below 50%, we get 20% bonus damage, which kind of translates to, this is basically just a 10% damage buff for power damage. The minors are Siphoned Power, gain might when you strike a foe below health threshold. Again, not that interesting, but I guess we have might when the enemy's low health, and then Awaken the Pain might grants you more power. Gain might when entering Shroud, that's actually pretty good, and part of the reason why we want to take this Spite line over the Soul Reaping line, which I've elected not to take for this build, which is an interesting choice, and I'll explain why it works out a little bit later. So the next trait line we have is Death Magic, and this is very interesting the way we've chosen to do this. So Death Magic allows you to play a little more defensively. We trade some of the Shroud generation, Life Force generation, and Precision uptime and crit damage from Soul Reaping line for this Death Magic line to be much tankier. So the first trait we have is Shrouded Removal. Lose a condition when entering Shroud, and every few seconds while you remain in Shroud. Gain Carapace when removing conditions from yourself. So this is a good way to keep a few conditions off of you. Necro has okay Condi Cleanse, but in Shroud you don't have access to your utility skills, so this is a good way to mitigate Condi overload on a build, because we still don't have resolution. Condi ignores a lot of our damage reduction, so this is a good way to lose some conditions over time and make sure we don't get overwhelmed by Condis. The next trait we have is Deadly Strength, so Carapace stacks grant power and condition damage, and you can get up to 30 stacks of Carapace at a time, so that's 300 power, 300 condition damage. We mostly care about the power because we're not condition damage tuned with this build, so it's mostly just the power we care about. And then lastly, the real reason why we want to take this trait line is Corruptor's Fervor. So inflicting a condition on a foe grants Carapace, gain pulsing protection while at or above the Carapace threshold. So the threshold's 25 out of 30 stacks. While you're at this threshold, you get 3.5 seconds of prot every 3 seconds. Alright, so that paired with a couple of the other things we have in this build will give us access to permanent protection uptime because of incidental condis and all these different things that we're doing that apply conditions even though we're not a condition damage focused build, and that will allow us to use this Corruptor's Fervor and get a lot of protection uptime out of the trait line. So as far as minors go, there's Beyond the Veil, take reduced condition damage while at or above the threshold of Carapace stacks, so at or above 10, we get minus 10% condition damage, so that's good. The next one is Soul Comprehension. Your passive life force generation from nearby deaths is increased. Kills grant Carapace, and when you enter Death Shroud, gain life force per stack of Carapace. So this is really good because usually we will enter Death Shroud with a bunch of Carapace, and it'll help top off our life force generation that we're losing for not taking the Soul Reaping line. And then lastly is Armored Shroud. So gain Carapace when entering Shroud, and as you can see, with 30 stacks of Carapace, we'll end up with 600 bonus toughness, 300 bonus power, and 300 bonus condition damage with the way we have this traded. Okay, and lastly is the Reaper line. So we're playing Reaper, so we get Death Shroud. Death Shroud is replaced with Reaper Shroud. And that just means that our life force drain is higher per second. There's a difference between regular Death Shroud and Reaper Shroud, but most people don't even think about that. As far as the traits that we pick, we're taking Chilling Nova, so critical hits against chilled foes cause an explosion. This is good because we're taking Bitter Chill, so every time we inflict Chill, we're inflicting Vuln as well, and that will help us get to 25 stacks of Vuln on any enemies that we're fighting, which is good. Next, we're taking Soul Eater, which is a really broken trait. Striking foes within the range threshold deals increased strike damage and heals you for the portion of that damage dealt. So we get out of Shroud, 4% healing for all the damage we do, and in Shroud we get 5%. It's additive for some reason. So in Shroud you get 5% as long as the enemy you're fighting is within 300 range, and you also get that 10% strike damage increase. And lastly, we're taking Reaper's Onslaught, so gain ferocity and quickness on Reaper Shroud, so you get 300 plus 300 ferocity in Shroud, and you also get pulsing quickness 3.5 seconds every 3-second interval. And in addition to this, Life Reap, so that's the third auto in the auto attack chain in Reaper Shroud. Life Reap, as you can read, so there's Rend, Slash, and then Reap. So that every third auto in Reaper Shroud will take 1 second off all of your other Shroud skills, timers, uptime, things like that. So really good stuff there. As far as the minors are, you have Cold Shoulder, Chill lasts longer, and chilled foes take increased strike damage from your attacks. That's good because we're going to have permanent chill on all the things we're attacking for the most part. Then we have Shivers of Dread. Whenever you inflict fear, you also inflict chill. Also good because we do have a few things that inflict fear, so that's nice. But yeah, that's pretty much the build. That's all the traits, and then we talked about the gear already. So really quickly, I want to talk about why this build's so OP and what we're doing specifically to leverage damage reduction and multiplicative damage reduction stacking to become basically immortal and unkillable on this build. So 1 second. Okay, so a big thing to note about this build is how much armor we have. So we're at 2600 armor right now, and then we get an additional 600 from the 600 toughness we gain at 30 carapace stacks, and with that all combined together, we end up at 3288 armor total. And so this can be compared to like a normal Berserker setup. So this is the Berserker version of this build. And in the Berserker version, I have 2055 armor. And so the way armor and damage reduction work is it's basically like the damage dealt divided by the armor equals the damage you take. And so you can just make a ratio between the armors. And when you do that, the difference in armor between 2055 and the 3288 that we have when we're at 30 carapace stacks is about a 37.5% damage reduction. So that's really big, really huge damage reduction difference. So really big difference in damage that we take. In addition to that, we also have permanent prot on this build, so that's another 33%. In addition to that, when you go into Reaper Shroud, you also take another 33% damage reduction. And then within Reaper Shroud, you can use Infused Terror, which gives you another 66% damage reduction and 66% condition damage reduction while in Shroud. And you can also, in Shroud, you could give yourself a Frost Aura, and that's another 10% incoming damage reduction. So you can just keep stacking all these DRs, and when you do, and lastly, there's one more, which is this skill, Rise, so you can summon these terrors, I forget what they're called, Shambling Horrors. You can summon these Shambling Horrors, and they'll tank damage for you, and that'll give you another 33% damage reduction with the special skill that I'll go into in just a second. But really quickly, just to show you how crazy tanky this build is, I'm going to turn the damage in the arena up to max and show you a damage pull that way. So let me do a max damage, a max incoming damage Golem Pull, and then we'll talk about why it's so good. So 1 second.
A deadly raid squad is a happy raid squad. Practice your skills using our state-of-the-art golems.
Yeah, and so you see we're able to tank the highest incoming damage setting in the Golem room pretty easily without really dropping low in our health almost at all. It does take a little bit of a damage hit because you fall out of Shroud a little bit too quickly because we don't have Alacrity, but I've gotten as high as like 16.5. Like I've gotten really close to the max damage possible with the rotation, like a perfect rotation. I've gotten decently close considering that we fall out of Shroud a little bit earlier because of just how much incoming damage we're taking. But to just demonstrate how much damage reduction how much damage we're reducing for strike damage. I'm going to respawn this golem, respawn the golem, and I'm going to switch back to this Berserker setup. So I'm in the Berserker setup. I have this go. So if I walk into this damage field right now, you can see the ticks are 2348, 2348. So it's killing us very quickly, very, very quickly. Alright, but if I go back out here and get out of combat for a second, I can switch back. And so just with the base toughness we have, the base 1673, we take that 2348, and that 2348 becomes 1785, right? And then you can, additionally, you can add prot to that. And with prot, that's 1195. With prot plus shroud, that's 772. Alright, and then the last thing that we talked about that I didn't explain yet, alright, is how this rise shout works. So if I remove this golem real fast, is the way it works is kind of interesting. Like it seems like a skill that doesn't look like a skill that'll be very useful, right? Because it says shambling horrors absorb damage for their master as long as they are attacking. It seems a little quirky, but the way it's coded, the way it's implemented within the game actually makes it quite interesting. So if I respawn the current golem, right? The way this mechanic actually works is not how it says it works. So if I come in here and I get prot and I spawn these shambling horrors, I get this ability called Dark Bond. And so it's basically just a unique effect that lasts over time. All right, and every time a shambling horror attacks, it resets this cooldown. All right, to 4 seconds. So every time one of these things attacks, it resets the cooldown to 4 seconds, and you can see them slowly tanking and dying, and they actually last a really long time. They last almost as long as their cooldown. Like really close. It's actually really close to lasting as long as the cooldown. See, their duration is 25 seconds. That's how long the minions last. And the cooldown of the ability is 32. So for most of the time, you will have these up. And you'll have permanent 33% damage reduction because it doesn't actually work the way it says. It works with a unique effect, right? It works with a unique effect. It's not actually doing a one-to-one transfer as far as I can tell. So like if I go back in here again, right, and I summon these, you can actually see them taking damage. So this one's taking 750 every tick, then I'm taking 1140. And then if I put prot, I take less, but the shambling horror still takes the 750 base. But, right, if I go and I change the damage setting on here, this off, and put on moderate, and I reset, and you'll be able to see it a little bit. So I do this, now it's taking 500, and if I go down to the third setting, it'll take 250. So you can see how it kind of adjusts, but it's weird the way it works, and these shambling horrors actually tank a ton of damage for you, and you get more of them the more enemies are in your vicinity when you cast the spell. And so it really, like, I've never seen a situation where the shambling horrors die too quickly to be useful, where they just get like annihilated right off the bat. This is partly to do with the way they reworked how minions are targeted and things, and like pets and stuff, but for whatever reason, these shambling horrors, they don't get targeted very much, and they don't get hit with, like, they don't die from AoE too often. They're very tanky basically, and so they give you that what is it called, dark bond effect, pretty much at permanent uptime, the 25 seconds out of 32, which gives you that extra 33% damage reduction. And so when you put it all together, so if I respawn Golem and I change this back to
feel free to approach the console and begin combat practice.
extremely
If you have
threatening,
any questions, I'm
right,
all
we
ears.
start at this, remember the 2348 number. we're at right now 127. So with 30 stacks of Death's Carapace, with Infusing Terror, with Reaper Shroud, with Rise, Dark Bond, and with our base toughness, we took 2348 and took that down to 127. So so 127 over 2348, right? And I did the math a little bit earlier, and that's the math that I did with just the DR, not with this number. This number might be a little different based on like how it's calculated, but it's almost a 95% damage reduction. You're taking, with my math that I did before I started this video, it's about 6% of the 100% damage. So the Berserker gear, right, if I switch back to that Berserker gear, I can't because I'm in combat. So if I switch back to that Berserker gear, and just face tanking in this Berserker gear, right, this legendary Ascended Berserker gear, I'm taking 6% of that damage with all the damage mitigation I have within the kit. And you can even ignore the 10%. The 6% is actually ignoring the 10% from the Frost Aura, because you really won't be able to keep that up for very long, this Frost Aura, which is 10% damage reduction. You won't be able to keep that up, so I didn't even use that. The 6% is without that. It's 5% with... It's just a little over 5% with the Frost Aura. So with that, you just are insanely tanky. You really cannot die on this build. Like it's very difficult to die because not only are you tanky, but you also have a bunch of healing, right? Like we talked about how strong this Soul Eater trait is, right? 5% of your damage in Shroud. So watch, if I like tank all the way down to 0, or like let's tank to like 30% or something, and I go into Shroud and I just use all my Shroud abilities, you see, by the time my Shroud is gone, I'll be basically full health again. And I still was able to get some damage off the Shroud, so... Right, and this is the most damage you're never going to take this much damage in 99.9% of things you do in the game. You're not going to be taking this much incoming damage at once. But you see how we get back to full very easily, and we really aren't that squishy outside of Shroud either, which is nice. But yeah, we're just super tanky. We have okay answers to conditions because of Shroud removal. And then the last thing is I didn't talk about the utility skills we're running. So we're just running Your Soul Is Mine because it's just probably the best heal that you can take on Reaper. I really don't like the other ones. I would just take Your Soul Is Mine because it's a normal heal. We're also taking Chill to the Bone just because this skill gives us a lot of things. It gives us Initial Fury, quickness, stability, does a bunch of damage, does a bunch of Defiance Break, has a low cooldown. It's just a great opener, especially in like if you have a mob of enemies. Then we're taking Rise, again, just this summons the Shambling Horror minions. Then we're taking 2 different stun breaks. So I have Spectral Armor, so this one helps clean up some of our protection uptime, fills in some of the gaps from the build in protection. It also gives us 8% life force every time we take a hit, right? So this is part of the reason why you saw it. Like if I click this ability and go into Shroud, you can actually see my life force ticking up a lot here, and that's because Spectral Armor is giving me life force during that period. So this just helps our life force generation, keeps us in Reaper Shroud longer. It's also a stun break, and so that's really nice. It can save you or give you a bunch of life force before you have to enter Reaper Shroud. So like I said, by the time you're done with your rotation with the full damage tick, you're at 0 life force, and so this is a good way to re-top up that life force before you go into Shroud again and try again to do another Reaper Shroud rotation. And then lastly, we have Spectral Walk. So this is just a really good skill because it's low cooldown, 20 seconds, consumes conditions every 2 seconds for a total of 10 seconds. And it also gives you swiftness. And so it's just a really good, like, universal Condi Cleanse, helps us with our Condi Cleanse outside of Shroud, because the Condi Cleanse we're taking, Shroud Removal, only works in Shroud or when entering Shroud. And so this just cleans up our build a little bit, gives us some Condi Cleanse, gives us another Stun Break, and just lets us play a little bit safer. So as far as demonstrating the build, last thing I wanted to say is, like, you can play this build. Respawn previous Golem. You can play this build without the Death Magic trait, and it's actually still pretty good. So, like, let's say you're a total damage snob and you want to do Soul Reaping, you can still go back to do that. So you'd be Spiteful Talisman and then be Soul Reaping line 1/1/2. All right. And like I said, I'm still in Demolisher gear. You can even play it in the Berserker gear, but I won't even show that because I don't think it's... I think you might as well play the Demolisher gear for open world. It's just better. But this is still on the extremely damaging setting, right? Extremely damaging. But even without the death magic, you'll mostly be able to tank it. And you'll do way more damage. But so this one does like 23-ish, sometimes 24, with 0 damage pressure. And then the full Berserker setup does like 26. So that's why I don't think it's worth it to take that. But as you can see, like, I'm not having to sweat. Like, I'm able to just talk to you and do this because the damage threat is actually so low. And we heal up so much in Shroud. But this is something not very many builds can do. Like, the only other build that can do this so comfortably, in my opinion, like, that's not like a super sweaty tryhard build, is Untamed, is like a Selly Untamed build, or like a Power Berserker Untamed. Like, you see 20k, and without the damage pressure, it's like 23, sometimes 24 if you're really good. 20k damage plus, which is an insane number for open world, especially for a power build that's not running Selly gear. Right. And so that's the non-death magic version. If you want it, here I'll show the traits again. So it's basically full Demolisher. You have 1 dragon piece because it switches up a little bit. Scholar runes, Force Celerity, Force Impact, still Relic of Midnight King. It's just a little bit different variant. It's a lot less tanky and it's a much lower quality of life, I think, because death magic's just really strong. Because you don't get the permanent prod up time and stuff like that. So it's just not nearly as tanky, but it's still really tanky. So that's that. And then this is, let's go back to the main one we're talking about, which is this Demolisher Death Magic version. And I'm going to show you a cool thing. So I did this the other day and it worked out pretty well. So we'll see if I can do it again. We're going to do a Fractal CM boss and we're going to see how it goes. I did it first try the last time, so I don't think I should be worried. But you never know. Like these bosses are designed sometimes to just like nuke you out of nowhere when you're not paying attention, or like CC you into oblivion. So we'll see how it goes. This isn't a boss I think that's like impossible to do, even on like a much less tanky build than this. But I think it is pretty impressive what we're going to be able to do with it, without really trying too hard. Like I'm not like a master of this fight or anything, but I'm still able to survive, or I was yesterday. We'll see how it goes today. Because we do have the frailty in stab, so we are
three people? They look angry.
a little less
Be
tanky.
careful.
Summon the Harbinger, and then we're going to summon our awesome Golem friend over here. We also have this, which is going to be giga annoying, Flux Bomb. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll try to talk through it. It might take a little bit of time, but hopefully it's not too boring. Hopefully I can lock in a little bit. And Poison Trail we got to be careful about so that we make sure we heal in our Shroud. Yeah, this Flux Bomb, I can already tell this Flux Bomb's going to be super annoying. forgot that it's 2. This is actually probably harder than the boss. Just making sure we don't get nuked by these. Making sure I leave enough open space. You can see, I'm not like overthinking any of this. Like, I'm playing pretty chill. And they're just dying. Alright, here's the real boss, Mama. So the real thing to keep track of in this fight is really just these awful orbs that hit you for like 1,000,000 damage that she launches, and just not having poison stacks for too long. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, that's the part that gets you, is these little red orbs. And the fact that we have to waste a dodge on the flux bomb is really annoying. Probably gonna have to dodge some of these. Yeah, we'll see. Flux bomb is definitely gonna make this harder than it was the last time I did it, but we'll see how it goes. I guess I don't have to dodge the flux bomb, but I don't know. I definitely have to dodge some of those though. What's going on? Such a weird pattern. Such a weird pattern. Yeah, I can just walk out of the flux bombs. Oh, I forgot these things. Ah, don't kill me. So this is why. Oh. Switch targets to this. These things are annoying. Yeah, so you just have to be careful because you get a lot of poison randomly in this arena, and then obviously, like all these things, like we're getting CC'd, so you want to save your stun breaks a little bit, and we're focused on the wrong target right now. Go back. I say that, and then I pop my CC just for fun, my stun break for fun, and then we go back to here. So you can see, like, we're really not, like, we're in a little bit of damage pressure, but it's mostly just from those reflectable orbs. Oh, and then me not dodging CC, not helpful. But, like, we're cleansing the poison pretty well with our passive Connie cleanse, and then I just get out of it. I'm just gonna get out of the arena for that. I don't want to deal with that today. Frailty's making this a little bit harder. Shoot, please don't kill me. I promise to be good. Oh, and I'm fat fingering. You can tell that I'm very good at this game, right? Ah! I'm scared. Yeah, I'm not playing so great, which is why it's taken forever. Like, I probably time my CCs a little better and actually stun the boss. Like if I do it right here. I don't want to use my fear though. Nah, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. Let's stun him. Oh, and I was blind. Of course. Knock me over. There's this thing. When you're farther away, the red balls aren't as bad. I don't want to save my. I just can't get any uptime for damage. The boss is just doing too many mechanics. Oh, did I dodge right? I don't think I did. I think I had stabbed from something. Now we can just spam this thing. Please don't murder me. I promise I played this better than last time. I'm playing so poorly. But Flux Bomb is just really... Feel free to skip ahead if you're like, this is super boring and I don't want to watch this guy fail to like do any damage. But that's kind of the point of the build, right? Like it's to make something that just like does okay damage, but is really just like unkillable. It's still gonna get me. My CCU, please. Maybe fear will do it. Yep. Okay. I think she summons another set of these evil. Yep, she does. Okay. Oh no, I might be dead. I almost died. And that's why stun breaks. Need to be on the other thing. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die if I don't get out of this. Okay. Ooh, I might be dead. I might be dead. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, I made it. I might die right here. I can't see, I can't see. Please. Please, Dynamic Knight, please die. Ah. That was close, guys. Okay, I need to get out of there. Okay. Let's get CC anyway. Okay. Okay. I think we're doing alright, so I think we saved it. Oh, I don't like that. We're gonna put that down. Technically, at this point, I can face tank that because the other Assault Knight's not there, but I don't want to risk it. I'm just gonna move. That's still gonna CC me no matter what. Oh, I need out of the Flux Bomb, please. Okay. Wow. I just went total noob mode. Okay. But at least you know the build is good. The build is good because my gameplay is bad. And look at that. CM, 100 Oh, not 100 CM anymore. 96 CM. Boss dead. Look at these rewards. 20 Fractal relics. Just for fun. Ayy. But yeah, so that's why the build's really strong. Is we can do a group content 5-man end game Fractal boss by ourselves, play like garbage, and we still win. Isn't that cool, guys? Pretty awesome, right? But yeah, but it can do all the other like basic open world stuff too. So like, as I close out, I'll just go do like one of like the normal encounters, just so you can see the damage really isn't bad. That's just a very tanky boss. Let me leave this to blah, blah, blah. Okay. But yeah, so glad I didn't fail in the very last second there. That was really close. I should have probably lost. On any other build, I would have been toast. But yeah, this build's pretty good. And so lastly, I'll do just the classic chalk. And this is a boss. The reason I want to do this one too also is because it showcases how the Shambling Horrors kind of stay alive even with significant pressure. If you've ever like had a ranger on this thing, you'll notice that your ranger pet just dies to this boss's AoE stuff. But the Shambling Horrors won't die as fast. So let's see how this goes. It should go really easy. Just gonna dodge that even though I don't need to. Just for fun. I'm playing this a little safer than I need to. I'm just in a defensive mood because of our encounter with the CM boss. But yep, pretty good. Did we take any damage? I don't think we did. We took like basically 0 damage. But yeah, that's how this build works. So like I said, it just leverages a lot of cool things about damage reduction. With the rise, with with protection, with toughness and armor, with the death magic trait line, with shroud DR, with infused terror DR, and just all those things put together, and then good Condi cleanse with shrouded removal, and with staff 4, and all this other stuff, where it's really survivable. But yeah, and I use staff for a lot of different reasons, but the main thing is just the weapon I hate the least, and it gives you some ranged options. I really don't like swords. I think swords just end up killing you easier. Like, you can kill yourself easier than anything else can kill you on this build. So just the weird like damaging yourself, like the vampiric style play style, just doesn't really. I'm not a fan of it in Guild Wars 2. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for this game. But yeah, this is Death Magic Power Reaper, really really broken, as you saw. Like, just totally face tanking a Fractal CM boss like it was nothing, and just lets you get away with a lot of stuff. So really great for story, really great for open world, soloing stuff, group things. It's even better with a lot of enemies around, actually. It has great cleave. So yeah, just a really awesome build. But yeah, I'll see you later. But really, really fun build that I just had to share, and I think there's just a lot of people posting some like really like just strange Reaper builds that just aren't very good, and so here's a good one. Here's a good one for you guys. But I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.